Today, we're going to dive into a pretty wild idea. What if your mind, everything that makes you you, is basically just a super complex piece of software? We're about to look at the human psyche as if it were code.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Your habits, your temper, the way you make decisions. Could all of that just be the output of some crazy sophisticated algorithm running in your head? It's a really cool metaphor, right? But as you're about to see, it's quickly becoming way more than just a metaphor.
And that leads to the really big question. If our personality is a program, can it be read? Can it be predicted? And could it, theoretically, even be hacked? Let's follow the breadcrumbs and see just how close we are to actually cracking the code of our own minds. All right, let's get into the main idea here. Thinking of your psyche as code isn't just a fun little phrase. It's actually a legitimate scientific way of looking at the mind, and it draws some pretty direct lines between how our brains work and how computers work. And this whole idea is totally grounded in science. There's a field called computational neuroscience, and in it, scientists treat the brain like a giant biological operating system. You know, your neurons firing off signals, that's like a computer executing a command. And the synapses that connect them, those are just the data channels, the wiring that carries all the information. It's a really powerful way to start analyzing our own behavior. So, if we're on a mission to crack this code, where do we even begin? Well, we have to start at the foundation, right? We need to find the basic building blocks of our personality. And our investigation really starts with our own biology. Our first major clue comes from a field called psychogenetics, which is all about the link between our genes and our behavior. And you know, this whole idea goes way, way back to Sir Francis Galton in the 1800s and his famous nature versus nurture debate, a question we are still trying to fully answer today. So, how much of our personality is nature, the stuff we're born with? Well, after decades and decades of studies on twins and families, we have a surprisingly clear answer. Turns out, personality traits are pretty heritable, somewhere in the 40 to 50% range. So yeah, our genes write a huge chunk of our base code. But, and this is important, they definitely don't tell the whole story.
And this is something you have to get right. Heritable does not mean fixed. It's not your destiny, it's just a starting point. The reality is our personality is this dynamic, living system. It's a constant dance between the genetic hand we're dealt and a whole lifetime of experiences and input from our environment.
Okay, so if our genes are the base code, what's the operating system it's running on? Well, for a long time now, psychologists have pretty much landed on one powerful model, the Big Five, or OCEAN. It maps our personality on 5 different spectrums: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. The key here is that these are sliders, not boxes. You're not just an extrovert. You fall somewhere on a scale, which gives us a way richer and more accurate picture of who someone is.
So we have our biological blueprint, we have our psychological operating system, but for decades, putting it all together to actually read the code has been pretty much impossible. But now, a new tool has shown up and changed the entire game. This is the master key for our investigation: artificial intelligence.
Let me ask you something. Who knows the real you the best? Your coworkers? Your best friend? Your partner? According to one incredible study, the answer might actually be none of the above. And it all comes down to the digital breadcrumbs you leave online. This one study was absolutely mind-blowing. It showed just how good AI has gotten at this stuff. Get this. By analyzing something as simple as your Facebook likes, a computer model could predict your personality with shocking accuracy. With just 10 of your likes, it was already more accurate than a work colleague. At 70 likes, it beat a friend. Give it 150, and it knew you better than your own family. And with just 300 likes, it judged your personality more accurately than your spouse. So how on earth is that possible? Well, it kind of boils down to 2 simple things. First, the machine can see and crunch massive amounts of data that our human brains just can't handle. But second, and this is probably the bigger reason, AI doesn't have our biases. We judge people based on vivid memories or how we want to see them. The machine? It just looks at the cold, hard data without any of those messy human feelings getting in the way. So, the code has been cracked. AI can read our personalities with a level of accuracy we've never seen before. But this is where things get really complicated, because this breakthrough pushes us into some very uncomfortable, very profound ethical territory. What happens now that our inner worlds are no longer private?
And look, these risks are not some far-off sci-fi what if. They are happening right now. We saw it with the insane privacy violations in the Cambridge Analytica scandal. We've seen it with biased algorithms, like an Amazon hiring tool that literally penalized women, or justice systems using biased tools that discriminate against minorities. And, we all see it every single day with those hyper-personalized ads trying to manipulate us based on what our personality profile says we'll buy.
This quote right here really gets to the heart of the fear. It says AI could be designed to eliminate the messy, unpredictable, unreliable displays of human will. Just think about that for a second. The ability to know us so well could be used to subtly guide us, to nudge our behaviors, to quietly wear away at our free will. The real danger here isn't an evil robot overlord, it's quiet, mass-scale manipulation. And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the biggest question of this entire explainer. We've pretty much established that the code can be read, but can it be rewritten? And even if we could, should we? And this is where we see a huge difference.
Reading the code? Yeah, we've pretty much proven that's possible thanks to AI and big data. But rewriting it? Whoa, that is a whole different ballgame. It's not just insanely complex from a technical standpoint, it's an ethical and philosophical minefield.
So why is rewriting it so hard? Well, for one, our personality isn't some simple computer script that you can just go in and edit. Like we've been saying, it's a dynamic algorithm, constantly being shaped by our genes, our environment, our experiences. And even more than that, studies show most of us see our core traits, like being kind or empathetic, as essential to who we are. We don't want them fixed. And so we're going to end right here with one last question for you to really think about. The technology is moving so fast, and it's pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. So if you were handed a tool that let you go into your own psychological code and debug it, maybe turn down your anxiety a little or crank up your motivation, would you do it? And what part of you might get lost if you did?